What if I told you that the most dangerous moment in a relationship is not the argument, but the silence that follows? Not the shouting. Not the accusations. But the sudden quiet. The unread message. The delayed reply. The space where warmth used to live. Most men are not prepared for that moment. Because when she stops talking, your mind starts screaming. You begin to imagine the worst. You feel the urge to fix it, to text her, to regain control before something slips away. But here is the truth no one teaches you. How you handle silence determines whether you gain respect, or lose it. This is not about playing games. This is not about ego. This is about emotional discipline. Because when both of you go quiet, the real test begins. And in that silence, you either become reactive, or you become powerful. Welcome to the Stoic Love Wisdom channel. This is where we share lessons about love, real-life experiences and tips for building strong relationships. In today's video, I will share with you, when both are silent, this is what you need to do. These may be things you have never thought of. If you are looking for a deeper understanding of love and how to develop relationships, don't miss this video. Before watching the video, find a quiet space and put on your headphones to feel every word I am about to share. Relax and enjoy this journey with me. Are you ready to start this journey? Let's begin. Part 1, The Silence That Tests a Man. There will come a moment in your relationship when the noise stops. No arguments. No explanations. No, good morning, texts. No, are you okay? Just silence. Not the peaceful kind. Not the silence of comfort. But the heavy kind. The kind that sits between two people like an invisible wall. When both of you go quiet, most men panic. I know this because I used to be that man. I used to think silence meant I was losing her. I thought it meant she was drifting away. I thought it meant I needed to fix something, immediately. So I would reach out too quickly. Over-explain. Apologize for things I wasn't even sure I did. Send long paragraphs trying to clear the air. And every time I did that, I lost a little more ground. Not because she was cruel, but because I was acting from fear. Let me tell you something most men don't understand. When both of you fall silent, it is not a crisis. It is a test. Not a test from her. A test from life. Silence reveals the man you really are. Anyone can talk when things are smooth. Anyone can be confident when affection flows easily. But silence exposes your internal stability. When communication stops, your mind starts speaking. Loudly. Is she talking to someone else? Did I mess up? Should I text her? What if she never reaches out again? This is where most men fail. Not because they lack love, but because they lack inner discipline. A Stoic man understands something powerful. You do not control her thoughts. You do not control her emotions. You do not control her timing. You control yourself. And silence is where that control is measured. Why silence feels so uncomfortable? Silence creates uncertainty. And uncertainty threatens the ego. The ego wants reassurance. The ego wants validation. The ego wants immediate resolution. But relationships are not built on ego. They are built on emotional strength. When both of you are silent, one of three things is happening. She is processing. She is protecting her pride. She is waiting to see your emotional stability. Notice something. None of those require you to chase. But most men do. Because silence feels like rejection. Here is the truth. Silence is not rejection. It is space. And space is where attraction either strengthens, or dies. The dangerous mistake men make. The biggest mistake a man makes during mutual silence is this. He tries to break it too soon. Not from clarity. From anxiety. He sends a message just to feel relief. Not because it is wise. But because he cannot sit with discomfort. That is not love. That is dependency. And dependency kills respect faster than anger ever will. Women are highly sensitive to emotional steadiness. When you react impulsively to silence, you signal instability. When you hold your frame calmly, you signal strength. And strength, quiet, controlled strength, is magnetic. What Stoicism teaches about silence. Stoicism is not about being cold. It is about mastering your internal reactions. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations that you have power over your mind, not outside events. Silence is an outside event. Your interpretation of it is inside. If you interpret silence as abandonment, you suffer. If you interpret silence as space, you grow. The event is the same. The meaning is chosen by you. That is power. When I learned this the hard way. Years ago, I was in a relationship with a woman I deeply cared about. We had a disagreement. Not explosive, but tense. After that, she went quiet. No angry texts. No dramatic exit. Just distance. I lasted 36 hours. Then I sent a long message explaining my perspective, apologizing, justifying, trying to smooth things over. Her reply was polite. Short. Cold. Something shifted. And I realized something painful. My reaction to silence showed her I feared losing her more than I valued myself. From that day forward, I decided something had to change. Not my love. My discipline. When both are silent, here's the first thing you must do. Do nothing. Yes. Nothing. But understand what nothing really means. It does not mean playing games. It does not mean ignoring intentionally. It does not mean punishing her with absence. It means returning to yourself. Back to your routine. Back to your mission. Back to your gym. Back to your work. Back to your discipline. Silence should not disrupt your structure. If it does, your life is too centered around her. And that is a dangerous place to be. A man whose entire emotional stability depends on another person will always act from fear. A man who has a full life will act from choice. The energy behind silence. Women are deeply intuitive. When you break silence from anxiety, she feels it. When you hold silence from calm strength, she feels that too. One repels. One intrigues. Silence handled correctly creates mystery. Handled poorly, it creates pity. And you never want to be pitied. The Stoic mindset in this moment. When both of you are silent, say this to yourself. If she wishes to speak, she will. If she does not, I remain whole. That is not arrogance. That is self-respect. You are not chasing someone who needs distance. You are not begging someone to choose you. You are standing firm in your value. And here is the paradox. The less you panic during silence, the more powerful your presence becomes. Understand this deeply. Silence is not the end of connection. It is a mirror. It shows how secure you are. How attached you are. How disciplined you are. How emotionally independent you are. Most men think attraction is built in conversation. But attraction is often strengthened in space. When she senses that you are steady, not scrambling, not desperate, she begins to reconsider the weight of your absence. Silence becomes pressure. But only if you do not crack first. This is only the beginning. Right now, your only job is this. Hold your ground internally. No emotional outbursts. No impulsive texts. No ego-driven ultimatums. Just strength. Because when both of you are silent, this is not the moment to speak. It is the moment to become. Love, like a mirror that reflects ourselves. When you learn to love, you are also learning to look back at yourself. What are your strengths? What are the wounds that need to be healed? And understanding yourself will help you understand the other person more deeply. That is also the reason I share on this channel, to help you see love as a journey to nurture your soul. If you find these things meaningful, click like to spread that value. And if this is your first time coming to the channel, don't forget to click subscribe with the notification bell, so we can always accompany each other in the next lessons. Leave a comment below, share your true feelings after listening to this part. Who knows, your little story may touch the heart of someone in need. Now, let's continue on the next part of this journey. Part 2, Understanding her silence without losing yourself. Let me tell you something most men never learn. Silence is rarely random. When a woman goes quiet, it is almost never because she has nothing to say. It is because she has too much to process. And if you misunderstand that silence, you will destroy something that could have matured. In part 1, I told you to do nothing. Now I will tell you why. Because if you do not understand the psychology behind her silence, your mind will invent stories that sabotage you. And a man who reacts to imagination instead of reality will always lose. Women withdraw differently than men. When a man is upset, he often becomes direct. He confronts. He argues. He states the problem. When a woman is hurt, confused, or uncertain, she often withdraws. Not to manipulate, but to recalibrate. Silence, for her, can mean, I'm disappointed. I'm observing. I'm protecting my pride. I need to see if he understands without me begging. Understand this carefully. Sometimes silence is a test of emotional intelligence. Not a trap. If you panic and demand answers, you show that you cannot sit with tension. But tension is part of attraction. Too much comfort too quickly kills polarity. The 3 types of female silence. After years of experience, I learned to distinguish 3 kinds of silence. If you cannot tell the difference, you will react the same way to all of them, and that is a mistake. 1. Emotional processing silence. This is when she needs space to sort her feelings. She is not pulling away permanently. She is thinking. If you break this silence aggressively, you interrupt her internal process. And when you interrupt a woman's emotional process, she feels unseen. The right move? Patience. Calm presence. No pressure. 2. Pride-based silence. Sometimes she feels hurt, but she does not want to appear vulnerable. So she says nothing. This is where weak men beg. Strong men observe. A stoic man does not rush to defend himself. He reflects first. Was I careless? Did I dismiss something important? Is there truth in her reaction? If there is, you will address it, but not from panic. From grounded clarity. 3. Detachment silence. Now we must be honest. Sometimes silence means she is emotionally pulling away. Not to test you, but because something has shifted. This is where most men collapse. They overcompensate. They promise change. They chase validation. But here is the brutal truth. You cannot negotiate genuine desire. If her silence is detachment, your dignity must remain intact. You do not beg someone to stay where they no longer feel aligned. You observe. And you prepare yourself to walk if necessary. That is strength. Why you must control your interpretation. Silence itself is neutral. Your interpretation gives it meaning. If you assume the worst, your behavior will reflect fear. If you assume calm neutrality, your behavior will reflect control. Women are extremely perceptive to emotional energy. You can send a simple message like, "Hope you're doing well." And she will feel whether that message comes from confidence or anxiety. Words matter less than state. And silence tests your state. The Stoic principle of emotional ownership. There is a discipline I adopted years ago that changed everything. I stopped making her responsible for my emotional stability. If she is silent, I do not crumble. If she is distant, I do not beg. If she returns warm, I do not over-celebrate. I remain centered. This does not mean I do not care. It means I do not surrender my inner balance to external shifts. A man who is emotionally self-contained becomes attractive without effort. Because he is not reacting, he is choosing. The ego wants immediate closure. Let's be honest. Silence wounds the ego. The ego whispers. Text her so you feel in control. Ask what's wrong so you're not guessing. Do something before you lose her. But urgency is often weakness in disguise. A Stoic man asks a different question. Is action necessary right now, or am I acting to relieve discomfort? Most of the time, during mutual silence, action is not necessary. Composure is. What she observes during silence. You think she is only silent. But she is also watching. Not always consciously. But energetically. She notices. Do you explode? Do you send multiple messages? Do you act passive-aggressive? Do you disappear dramatically? Or do you stay consistent? Still go to the gym? Still post normally? Still live your life? Consistency signals emotional maturity. Erratic behavior signals instability. And women do not feel safe with instability. Even if they are emotionally drawn to you, safety determines longevity. The power of non-reactivity. There is something deeply powerful about non-reactivity. When both of you are silent and you do not rush to fill the void, you communicate something profound. I am not afraid of losing you. And paradoxically, that reduces the chance of losing her. Fear pushes away. Calm pulls closer. This is not manipulation. It is emotional physics. But what if you were wrong? Now let us address something important. Stoicism is not about ego stubbornness. If you genuinely made a mistake, if you disrespected her, dismissed her, or acted carelessly, then silence may be your moment of reflection. Do not confuse pride with strength. Strength says, if I was wrong, I will own it. But ownership comes from clarity. Not desperation. There is a difference between I value you and I see my mistake. And please don't leave me. One is grounded. The other is fearful. She feels the difference immediately. Here is what you must do internally. During mutual silence, ask yourself 3 questions. Am I reacting from fear or principle? If she never reached out again, would I still respect myself? Is my life strong enough that silence does not destabilize it? If your answer to the 3rd question is no, then the silence is revealing something about you, not her. It is showing you where your foundation is weak. And that is a gift. Because most men only grow when confronted with discomfort. The hidden truth about attraction. Attraction deepens when 2 people can exist independently. Clinging weakens tension. Space builds it. When she senses that you are not collapsing in silence, something shifts in her perception. You are no longer just emotionally available. You are emotionally solid. And solidity creates gravity. Do not confuse silence with power struggle. This is not about who texts first. It is not about winning. It is about alignment. If both of you are silent because ego is fighting ego, someone must eventually lead. But leadership does not mean surrender. It means calm initiative, at the right time. Timing is everything. Part 3, When to break the silence, and how to do it without losing your ground. Now we arrive at the moment most men struggle with. You have held your composure. You did not panic. You did not send emotional paragraphs. You returned to your routine. But silence continues. So the question becomes, when do you speak? And more importantly, how do you speak without lowering your value? Because breaking silence is not weakness. Breaking silence from fear is. There is a difference. And only a man who understands timing understands power. First, never break silence to relieve anxiety. If you are restless. If you are checking your phone every 10 minutes. If you are rehearsing conversations in your head. You are not ready to speak. Because whatever you say will carry the scent of tension. And tension born from insecurity weakens your position. A stoic man does not act to escape discomfort. He acts from clarity. So before you send anything, ask yourself. If she responds coldly, will I remain composed? If the answer is no, wait. Strength is not silence forever. Strength is speaking from stability. The right time to break silence. There are 3 moments when breaking silence becomes powerful instead of desperate. 1. When you have reflected calmly. If you have genuinely reflected on the situation. If you understand your part clearly. If you feel emotionally neutral. Then you are ready. Not to plead. But to lead. Leadership in love means being able to say, I've thought about this. Here is where I stand. Not aggressively. Not defensively. Simply grounded. 2. When enough time has passed. Time does something powerful. It removes emotional heat. If the silence followed tension or disagreement, both of you needed space. Breaking silence too quickly interrupts that cooling process. But when enough time has passed, not hours, but days, your message carries maturity. It shows patience. And patience signals control. Control signals strength. 3. When you are prepared for any outcome. This is the real test. You should only break silence when you are internally prepared for warmth, neutrality, distance, or even rejection. If your emotional stability depends on her reply, you are not ready. Because then you are gambling your peace on her mood. A stoic man speaks when he has already accepted all possible outcomes. And that acceptance makes him powerful. How to break the silence correctly. Now we speak about execution. This is where many men destroy everything. They send long emotional confessions, overly detailed explanations, defensive arguments, passive-aggressive remarks. No. When you break silence, you keep it simple. Calm. Direct. For example, I've had some time to think. I value what we have, and I'm open to talking when you are. Notice the tone. No begging. No pressure. No blame. Just grounded openness. That energy is strong. Because it does not demand. It offers. The energy behind your words matters more than the words. You could send the perfect sentence. But if your internal state is unstable, she will feel it. Women read subtext better than men read text. If your message secretly means, please reassure me, she will sense it. If your message means, I am steady, and I am here if this is worth continuing, She will sense that too. Silence trained you for this moment. If you handled it correctly, your words now carry weight. What if she responds warmly? Good. But stay grounded. Do not suddenly flood her with attention. Do not overcompensate. Return to connection naturally. Strong men do not swing emotionally from cold to overly affectionate. They remain consistent. Consistency builds trust. Trust builds depth. What if she responds neutrally? Also fine. Match energy. Do not overextend. Let the interaction rebuild gradually. If you push intensity when she offers neutrality, you create imbalance. And imbalance kills attraction. What if she responds coldly? Now your discipline is truly tested. This is where ego wants to defend. Or withdraw dramatically. Or attack. Instead, remain composed. You can respond with calm clarity. I understand. I just wanted to check in. Wishing you well. That is it. No drama. No emotional collapse. Sometimes silence reveals misalignment. And maturity means accepting that without self-destruction. What if she does not respond at all? This is where most men lose control. But this is also where your character is defined. If she does not respond, you do not double text. You do not escalate. You do not demand closure. You step back. Completely. Because if someone chooses silence over clarity, chasing them will not restore respect. It will reduce yours. You gave calm initiative. Now the responsibility shifts to her. And if she chooses absence, you honor that choice. With dignity. Breaking silence is about leadership, not submission. Understand this clearly. Breaking silence first does not make you weak. Breaking silence from fear does. A strong man is not afraid to initiate conversation. But he is never afraid of walking away either. That balance creates power. You speak because you choose to. Not because you cannot survive without response. The Stoic balance between pride and openness. Too much pride creates ego battles. Too much openness creates vulnerability without boundaries. A Stoic man walks the middle path. He can say, I care. Without saying, I need. He can say, I value this. Without saying, I cannot lose this. That subtle difference changes everything. Remember this principle. Silence is not your enemy. It is your training ground. It forces you to confront attachment, ego, fear, control. If you emerge from silence calmer than you entered it, you have grown. And growth makes you magnetic. Because most men react. Very few remain centered. The final truth of this stage. Sometimes silence strengthens a connection. Sometimes it ends one. But in both cases, if you handled it with discipline, you win. Because your self-respect remains intact. And a man who keeps his self-respect never truly loses. There are things in love, only when we take a step back, sit down quietly, can we truly understand. I share these stories not to teach you how to love, but so that you can find the answers for yourself. If what you just heard touches your heart, please click like as a way to spread this positive energy to more people. And remember to click subscribe, because there are many profound perspectives on love waiting for you in the next videos. Now, let's continue the remaining journey together, because the most precious things are sometimes at the end. Part 4. What happens inside her when you don't chase? Now we enter territory most men never see. Not because it is hidden. But because they interrupt it too early. When both of you are silent. And you do not chase. And you do not panic. something begins to happen inside her. And it is subtle. Very subtle. If you had broken the silence too soon, you would never witness it. But when you remain grounded, space begins to work in your favor. Let me explain what actually shifts in a woman's mind when a man holds his frame. 1. Curiosity replaces certainty. When a man reacts predictably, there is no mystery. If she expects you to text within hours, and you do, there is no tension. If she expects you to over-explain, and you do, there is no intrigue. But when you remain calm and steady, without chasing, something unexpected happens. Certainty turns into curiosity. She begins to wonder. Why isn't he reacting? Is he upset? Is he unaffected? Is he stronger than I thought? Curiosity is powerful. It pulls attention. And attention fuels attraction. When you chase, you give her certainty. When you remain centered, you create healthy uncertainty. And uncertainty reactivates emotional investment. 2. Respect begins to rise. Women may be emotionally expressive, but they deeply respect emotional strength. When you do not crumble during silence, you communicate. I am not dependent on this moment. That stability registers subconsciously. Even if she does not admit it. Respect is not built when you over-pursue. It is built when you demonstrate inner control. And here is the uncomfortable truth. Many men are loved. Very few are respected. Love without respect becomes fragile. But respect strengthens love. Silence handled correctly builds respect. 3. She feels the weight of your absence. When you chase, she feels pursued. When you withdraw with dignity, she feels absence. And absence has weight. Especially if your presence was calm, masculine, and emotionally grounded. If you were consistent. If you were not needy. If you led with quiet confidence. Your silence becomes noticeable. She may check your social media. She may replay conversations. She may wonder if you are moving on. Not because she wants drama. But because humans value what feels scarce. When you stop overgiving, your presence becomes valuable again. 4. Emotional space forces self-reflection. Silence does not only test you. It tests her too. Without constant interaction, she must confront her own feelings. Does she miss you? Does she feel relief? Does she feel tension? Space clarifies emotion. If she truly values you, silence amplifies that recognition. If she does not, silence reveals it. Either way, clarity is created. And clarity is better than illusion. 5. Why chasing destroys this entire process. If you interrupt silence with emotional pursuit, 3 things happen. You relieve her curiosity. You lower the tension. You remove the weight of your absence. You give her comfort too easily. And comfort without effort reduces appreciation. This does not mean you should manipulate silence. It means you should not sabotage it. There is a difference. The psychological shift, from control to choice. When you chase, she feels in control. When you remain steady, she must choose. And being chosen feels different than controlling. A woman who chooses you feels desire. A woman who feels chased may feel power, but not necessarily attraction. Desire thrives on voluntary pull. Not forced pursuit. But let me be clear, this is not a game. If you are holding silence only to win, you have already lost. Because that energy is fake. Women sense manipulation. Stoic love is not strategy. It is discipline. You are not silent to create anxiety. You are silent because you are emotionally self-sufficient. If she returns, it is because she wants to. If she does not, you remain whole. That mindset is real power. What happens if she reaches out first? This is where many men overplay their hand. If she breaks the silence, stay composed. Do not act triumphant. Do not act cold to teach her a lesson. Respond naturally. Warm, but controlled. Example. Her, hey, how have you been? Weak man. I've been fine. Why did you disappear? I thought you were done with me. Ego-driven man. Oh, now you text me. Stoic man. I've been good. Focused on a few things. How about you? Simple. Balanced. Unreactive. That tone communicates stability. And stability is deeply attractive. The deeper layer, emotional safety. Here is something many men misunderstand. Women are not only attracted to strength. They are attracted to safe strength. If your silence feels like punishment, she feels tension. If your silence feels grounded, she feels safety. Safety means he is not volatile. He is not impulsive. He is not emotionally chaotic. He can handle distance without exploding. That kind of emotional control makes a woman relax into femininity. Because she senses you are solid. And femininity opens where stability exists. The paradox of restraint. The less you try to control the outcome, the more powerful your position becomes. When you release desperation, you create space for authentic desire. When you accept that she may walk away, you stop acting in ways that push her away. Restraint is not passive. It is controlled energy. Like a coiled spring that does not need to prove its power. But prepare for this truth. Sometimes she will not return. And that does not mean your silence failed. It means silence revealed reality. If she does not feel the weight of your absence. If she does not feel curiosity. If she does not feel desire. Then chasing would not have fixed it. It would only have delayed the truth. And a man who fears truth will always suffer longer. The shift in you is what matters most. Even if she comes back. Even if she does not. The real transformation happened inside you. You learn to sit with discomfort. Resist impulsive action. Detach from ego. Maintain self-respect. That evolution changes every relationship you will ever have. Because now you are no longer emotionally reactive. You are emotionally directed. Part 5, the final decision, rebuild, redefine, or walk away with strength. Now we arrive at the final stage. Silence has passed. Space has done its work. Emotions have cooled. Now comes the moment that defines you as a man. Not whether she returns. Not whether she apologizes. Not whether she explains. But whether you choose from clarity. Or from fear. Because when silence ends, in whatever form, you are standing at a crossroads. And a stoic man does not drift at crossroads. He decides. Step 1, observe the energy, not just the words. If she comes back warm, attentive, engaged. That tells you something. If she returns distant, half-invested, inconsistent, that tells you something too. Listen carefully. Words can lie. Energy rarely does. Does she lean in? Does she take accountability? Does she show genuine interest in rebuilding? Or does she return only when convenient? A man who has mastered silence does not ignore red flags just because connection resumes. You are not desperate for reunion. You are evaluating alignment. If you choose to rebuild. Rebuilding is not pretending nothing happened. Rebuilding is strengthening what was weak. You can say, I value what we have. But I also value clarity. If we move forward, let's do it intentionally. That statement does three things. It communicates interest. It establishes standards. It frames the future with structure. You are not simply accepting her return. You are setting tone. And tone determines trajectory. A relationship rebuilt after silence can become stronger if both people mature through it. But if only one person grows, imbalance returns. If you need to redefine, sometimes silence reveals that something must change. Not end. Change. Maybe communication patterns were unhealthy. Maybe expectations were unclear. Maybe emotional availability was uneven. This is where leadership matters. You might say, I realized during that space that we need better communication. I don't want tension to turn into distance again. This is not criticism. It is clarity. And clarity is attractive. Because it signals you are thinking long-term, not emotionally reacting short-term. Women respect men who can articulate structure without aggression. If you must walk away, this is the hardest path. And the strongest one. If she returns indifferent. If she avoids accountability. If she shows low investment. Or if she does not return at all. You must decide whether staying compromises your self-respect. And here is the truth most men avoid. Love without mutual effort becomes self-abandonment. A Stoic man never abandons himself to keep someone else. Walking away is not dramatic. It is quiet. It sounds like this. I don't feel we're aligned the way we should be. I respect you, but I'm stepping back. No threats. No anger. No bitterness. Just finality. That kind of exit leaves impact. Because strength without hostility commands respect, even from someone who leaves. Why closure is internal, not external. Many men wait for explanations to feel complete. They want reasons, reassurance, validation. But closure is not given. It is chosen. If she does not explain perfectly, you still move forward. If she blames you unfairly, you still remain centered. If she disappears without clarity, you still keep dignity. Because your peace does not depend on her narrative. It depends on your discipline. The true lesson of shared silence. When both of you were silent, life handed you a mirror. It showed you your attachment level, your ego patterns, your emotional discipline, your dependence or independence. And if you handled silence correctly, you evolved. You became less reactive, less needy, less impulsive, more grounded, more self-contained, more dangerous, in the calmest way possible. The Stoic definition of love. Stoic love is not cold. It is intentional. It says, I choose you, but I do not lose myself in you. It says, I care deeply, but I do not beg for reciprocity. It says, I am open, but I am not fragile. That balance creates mature connection. And mature connection outlasts emotional drama. Here is the final truth. When both of you are silent, the question is never, will she come back? The real question is, who will I become in this space? If you become anxious, reactive, desperate, silence weakens you. If you become disciplined, reflective, steady, silence refines you. And a refined man does not chase clarity. He embodies it. Whether she stays or goes. If she stays and grows with you, build something strong. If she leaves, let her go with dignity. Because the man who can sit in silence without losing himself is the man who never truly loses. Not in love. Not in life. And remember this. The goal was never to win the silence. The goal was to master yourself within it. That is Stoic love. That is strength. And that is what you needed to do. Conclusion. When both of you fall silent, it feels like something is breaking. But most of the time, nothing is breaking. Something is being revealed. Silence in love is not the enemy. It is the pressure that exposes emotional maturity. It shows whether you are led by fear, or by strength. Whether you react to discomfort, or grow through it. Many men lose themselves in these quiet moments. They chase reassurance. They demand clarity. They act to relieve anxiety rather than to protect dignity. But a Stoic man understands something deeper. Silence is not a void to be filled. It is a space to be mastered. In that space, you learned discipline. You learned restraint. You learned that your stability cannot depend on another person's mood or timing. And that lesson changes everything. Because when you no longer panic at distance, you become powerful. When you no longer beg for connection, you become chosen. When you can say, I value you, but I value myself too, you step into emotional leadership. Whether she returns or walks away is secondary. What truly matters is this. You did not abandon yourself in the process. Love should never cost you your center. It should complement it. So the next time silence enters your relationship, do not rush to escape it. Stand still. Breathe. Hold your frame. Because the man who remains whole in silence is the man who never loses, even if the relationship ends. That is Stoic love. And that is strength. Thank you for taking the time to watch today's video. I hope you have found useful lessons about love and relationships. If you find this video useful, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel and share it with your friends. I really appreciate your support and will continue to bring valuable content in the next videos. Please continue to accompany me on my journey to learn about love and relationships. See you again and wish you happiness.